Today we're going to talk about text in your drawings, and I know when you created um, your template file with your border and your title blocks, you did a little bit of text there. Uh, we have two different text commands, if you will, in AutoCAD. One is single line text, and the other is multi-line text. And you're going to find you're going to use multi-line text most of the time because it's easiest. It's more like a word processor as opposed to single line text. But I want to go over a few things about text with you. Like I've said before, in our mechanical drawings, all of our text, unless you're told otherwise in the assignment, all of it's going to be in paper space. And in the architectural drawing classes, we'll do text dimensioning and leaders and notes and things like that in model space, but we'll deal with it specifically in that class. So that being said, in um, in all text and all dimensions that we're doing in paper space, you're going to want to use a standard or a decimal style. Do not use the annotative style in paper space because annotative style is a model space text and dimensioning tool. Okay, so I've just opened up my template file here. Go to the annotate tab. Let's look at single line first. Um, and the command for that is just text, T-E-X-T. And the first thing it asks you is to specify the justification point. And in this case, um, the last I did with it was the middle left point of the text. That's the justification, which means that's where the handle, the grip for the text is going to end up being. And we use that down in the title block. Okay, so I'll click there. Then it asks me for the text height. And by default, it's 0.125. That's our standard text that we're going to use. So I'll press enter. And in the rotation angle of the text, if you want your text to be horizontal, it'll be 0 degrees. If you want it at an angle up, 45 degrees. If you want it vertical, 90 degrees. Okay, so 0 degrees. And now you type your text. Single line text. Okay. And if you press enter, it will give you another line that you can keep typing in. So it's not just a single line of text. Okay. See, I'll show you. Second line of text. And then you press escape or oh, that was weird. Ah, I don't know why it did that. Maybe you can't do a second line on it. Okay, so single line of text. Here's the grip that we use for justification. Here's the grip for the actual text, and grabbing either one of them will move it. Okay. Once you've got your text in, if you look in your properties, you'll see all the different types of stuff, the layer, the contents of it, the style that we use, and I use the standard style because that's what I had marked right here. There's all your styles. Um, you know, so in the stuff you're going to be doing in our class, you're either going to use the standard or text one. Text one would be okay. It's 1/8 inch tall. So either one would be fine. And, actually it looks better if you use the same text that you use on your dimension style, which I think we used text one on our dimension style when we set those up. Back to properties. Justification is middle left. You can change that. And it will move your text around for you. Okay. Okay, so you can see how it's moving it based on the handle. And most of the time you're going to use, a bottom left or a top left or something like that. Either one is fine. And we use that for aligning text, just like we did in the title blocks when we were creating the title block. And you can adjust these things here, the rotation, the width factor, the obliquing, things like that. Obliquing means it puts it at an angle, okay, the text itself. The width factor, one is regular spacing. If like we did on the title block, we made something like a 0.8. Just to demonstrate, I'll make that a 2. You see, it drags it out. Most of the time, we're just going to leave it at a 1. But we did it in the title block to kind of pull this text in a little tighter there. Okay, upside down, backwards. Honestly, I've never messed with those. Let's see. Oh, wow, that's kind of neat. Okay. Interesting. Not really sure why you would use those, but okay. Maybe in a mold, we're injection molding something and we need it to be backwards. I don't know. It's interesting. If you need to rotate your text, you can do so here. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much, it. Multi-line text is what you're going to use most of the time, and the command is mtext on the keyboard. And here you specify opposing corners, just like you're creating a text box. Okay. And the style is whatever you had picked already up there, which standard or text 1 is what we're going to use. And this is giving you all the stuff that's within the text style, and you can make the changes for it. Here we've got our justification that we can change should we need it. If we want bullets and numbering, they're there. We can adjust our line spacing just like a word processing document, okay? We can control our paragraphs, the way things align. Most of the time you're going to leave it at default, okay, in the things that we're doing. Columns, it's unusual to use columns. I'm not saying you won't ever use them, but it does just that. It creates columns of information for you. If you need to insert symbols into your text, you can pull them up here. And we'll, I want to show you some more on that in a moment. But it works, pretty much like a word processor. Okay. And if we look at our properties, it's all pretty much the same. There are some differences from the single line text, like this line space. Background mask, you can apply a background mask, which would block out if you have something underneath there. Like for example, in our 1125 architectural class, when we're putting in some room names, we have a porch and we're going to put a room name on it. And we want to use that mask to cover up the lines of the porch flooring, so it doesn't, interfere with the room name. And so we use a mask to do that. Text frame, if you should want a frame around your text, there are some times that we would do that on a drawing, most of the time not, but sometimes we do. Like for example, the metric box on our drawings, you could use that for that, I suppose. Okay. So basically, it's like a word processor. Now to edit it, you double click it, but often if you don't double click fast enough or correctly, you'll activate model space, and then you're working in model space. So oftentimes it may be better to select it and then go mtext edit. Okay, now I wanted to talk about symbols, because the ones here that we use most often, degree, plus, minus, and diameter, have a code that you can use. And you can come here and select it, or you can just type in %, and then D or P or C. Okay, and then it will add that in your stuff for you, degrees, and I'll go %, D, and it creates a degree symbol. Okay, and then should you need some of these other ones, I don't know, we'll say angle. That one's um, could be used. Rarely will we put an angle symbol in our text, but there it is. I don't know why it wanted to do that. Now fractions. Well, we've got some other things over here where we could make letters bold or italics. We can do a strike through. Okay, so like in a word processor, we can underline, we can overline, but the stack is for fractions. And if your dimension style is in fractions, then your dimensions will take care of itself. Okay, this is for text, and I'm gonna say 1/4 inch, and it did it automatically because that's a fairly common fraction. But if we have something that's not common, well, it did it too. Okay. All right, so oftentimes it will. So let's try something bizarre, 3/5. Okay. And here's how you could, I guess it's automatically doing the stacking, and you could adjust it. But honestly, the horizontal is the standard accepted way of doing fractions in drafting. It just makes it easier to read as opposed to the horizontal style there. Okay, so that pretty much covers text. If you need to align text, the easiest way that I have found to do it is to draw a construction line and then align things, snap them to a construction line. That has been the easiest way that I have found to do those things. Okay, let's talk about tables, because some of the drawings that you're going to do later this semester, you're going to have tables in it. And I want you to understand, tables should go in paper space. Do not put them in model space. Put them in paper space, because then you're setting your text height at 1/8 inch, and you don't have to worry about trying to scale anything. If you were to put it in model space, you would have to scale it. Okay, so a table right over here, and you can have multiple styles. Okay, let's look at the table style and the settings that go into it. So within a table, you've got these 3 different types of rows here. You got a title, a header, and a data row or cells. Okay. And to modify them, you come over here to your cell styles and you select which one you want. So we'll look at the title. You could give it a fill, I don't know. I'm just going to say yellow. Okay. The alignment, most of the time you're going to stick with middle center for all of these things. Yeah, these things are kind of normal for that. Text, your text style, your text height, um, colors, those things. Usually I like to go with by layer on those. Depends on where I put them at. Borders, most of the time we're going to leave. We'll have line weights and those kinds of things. It's just like a table in Microsoft Word, basically. Okay, so the header um, works the same way as far as all of these things, the text height, all that. The data is the most, that's where all the stuff is going to go. And so let's change that one down to 1/8 inch. Okay, I don't know why my thing was beeping. Hmm. I don't know why it keeps beeping. Hmm, that was strange. Um, and if your data is all going to be sizes, which most of the things that we're going to be doing, change it here from general to decimal number, and we'll just go with current units. Okay, and now we put a table in, and when we go to start it, it asks us there what style, how many rows, the column width, data rows. Uh, we'll go with that. And if you do not want a title or a header, then you can turn them off here. Okay. All right. And so we'll put it in there. And as you can see, it's bigger than our drawing. And so I grab the arrow at the end of it and drag it over, and it adjusts the widths of all of them. If I need to adjust the height, if I need to add rows, I can add rows. I can adjust the heights of the rows, all those kinds of things. I can adjust individual cells like so. And then to put the text in, you just click inside one of the cells, and I just press the tab key there, and it moved me to the next cell. Now remember, we changed this to numeric format. And see, it's giving me a warning there. It just, I don't know what, you know, every drawing or job is going to be a little different. If you need to change the precision of these things, um, let's select all of those, use my shift key and click from one cell to the other cell. And here we can change our data format. We can keep it as a decimal number. Let's look and see if can we change precision on it. Maybe I can't with all of them selected. Let's go to the one. And if I right click it, let's see. I thought I could change the decimal precision from that. So let's go back and look at our style again. Data, decimal number. we just go decimal, we can select the precision that we want. What's additional? Let's see what that is. Okay. Not what we want to deal with here. Although we could suppress trailing zeros if we needed to. Okay, so let's say okay on that. And then just like with dimensioning, anytime you edit the style, whether it's a table, the multi-leader, text, or dimensions, if you edit the style, it will change all of the things in your drawing that pertain to those particular styles. Like if we use the decimal dimensioning style and I come in here and make changes to the style, every dimension that I've placed that uses that dimension style will be updated. Okay, so that's a thing on tables. The reason I said if we put tables in model space and then you zoom and scale your viewport to get it at a 1:1, 1:1 would be okay. But if you're doing a 1:2 or 1:4 or 2:1, now the text in your table is not the right size. And so you have additional things to worry about. So always put your tables and text in paper space. All right, so that's it for this video. I'm going to come back in another one and we'll start talking about dimensioning.